I do support putting the guidance on a statutory footing, but isn't this whole debate a result of a failure of the rest of the system? That we're focused on the last resort means that the other resorts are actually not effective. We've got significant problems with behaviour and violence within schools, also distress, and actually a failure to support and additional support needs. So shouldn't we be redoubling our focus on trying to resolve those issues so we can narrow down to the greatest possible extent the use of restraint at all?
Cabinet Secretary.
I mean, I agree with the premise of Mr Rennie's question, and I think post-pandemic in particular, some of the challenges he talks to in relation to ASN and changed behaviour in our schools are very live issues to me as Cabinet Secretary. It's I spend a lot of time in the Chamber responding to challenge on that very point, but I also think in government we need to reflect how we can better support local authorities on these issues, because post-pandemic things are different. I was actually in an ELC facility in Mr Rennie's constituency very recently in Balmullo, and I was listening to what the ELC practitioners were doing with that local authority to respond to delays in speech and language and communication post-pandemic. So it's important that we can work with local authorities to respond to that greater need post-pandemic. And I think we too in government have to respond to how we can better resource and support that. It is worthwhile saying, Presiding Officer, that in the last financial year we have spent record amounts on ASN. We've seen an increase in learning support assistance by 725, which is welcome news. But I accept that's not the end of the story. And I suppose the premise of Mr Rennie's question is that this issue relates to wider issues within our education system post-pandemic, which I would agree with. And of course, the government is in listening mode. We are approaching the budget. And if Mr Rennie has any proposals to that end, I'm sure that my colleagues and I will be happy to engage with him on those issues, because we are all, I think, singing from the same hymn sheet in regard to this issue. We want to improve the support that's available for our children and young people.